Prompting the following discussion is a late example of lithographic artwork produced by none other than the renowned artist Pablo Picasso. Titled La Danse des Faunes, the viewer is immediately drawn to this piece of art as Picasso's reputation precedes himself, as was I. However, on first impression, the work evoked next to nothing for me. It wasn't until I spent more time conversing with the piece did I begin to love it. The print was cast in black ink on paper. At first glance, the eyes are drawn into the dark center of the work, but quickly retreat to the lighter areas of the composition. The energy in the piece is felt and portrayed through the frenzied and seemingly continuous amorphous etchings which engulf the figures presented. Relatively simple lines are employed to render the form of the fauns into motion. The fauns are apparently occupied by the act of merrymaking. There are 8 in total, and although the level of detail varies widely amongst them, each can be perceived to have its own distinct personality. There are 2 figures which stand out most clearly in my opinion, and they are the least detailed. The first is the one who seems to have enjoyed the celebration a bit too much. The other is the most abstract figure presented and is portrayed with no shadowing or detail. With a bit of imagination, the sinuous lines are enough to evoke much more than that. As it is apparent that the fauns comprise the breadth of the work, a more robust analysis is required. A faun is a mythological being which is half human and half goat. Originating in Greek mythology, fauns are especially fond of music, beautiful women, and festivities. They are often portrayed as being incredibly charming, despite having the features of a goat. Interestingly, the fauns in Picasso's work lack their goat-like attributes, but seem to embody the classical notion of being musically inclined. More interestingly, perhaps, is the fact that none of their expressions seem joyous at all. Instead, each figure appears to be so entirely absorbed in the moment that even a simple grin seems it would be too much to wear. Keeping in line with the mythological representation of the fauns, some, but not all, are seen to be wearing olive wreaths as crowns. Symbolically, olive wreaths represent victory or good fortune and were most commonly worn during festival events. La Danse des Faunes was produced in 1957 as one of more than 800 original lithographs printed by Picasso throughout his lifetime. Picasso was a highly influential Spanish artist who lived from October 25, 1881 to April 8, 1973. He was prompted to begin experimentation with lithographic media in 1945 when approached by Fernand Merlot about possibly reproducing some of his paintings with lithography. In his lithographic works, Picasso was continually imaginative and proposed intentions within his work which had eluded him earlier in life. As music lovers and merrymakers, the scene depicted for the fauns is not something out of the ordinary. In a sense, the figures should feel at home in the setting they have been put in. This would be similar to the feeling that Picasso himself would have in his own art studio: comfort. From the print, it is clear that the fauns are deeply immersed in their harmonies, but are also a bit melancholy. In my interpretation, the fauns wearing wreaths are engaged with their activity, the perfect amount. They are both receptive to their environment and at the same time fill it with their expressive music. The fauns not wearing the wreaths are the ones who went too far. They became so engrossed with the moment, so indulgent in the air atmosphere, that they lost control of themselves. The significance of La Danse des Faunes then becomes apparent. It provides a recording of expression in which Picasso seamlessly brings mythology into conversation with his own articulations. In his own words, the artist is a receptacle for emotions that come from all over the place. From the sky, from the earth, from a scrap of paper, from a passing shape, from a spider's web. If nothing else, La Danse des Faunes at least solidifies Picasso's notion of the artist as a vessel in which emotions can be funneled into and then later expressed as a piece of original artwork. That being said, the following question is posed. How is the modern interpreter meant to wrangle with the work altogether? At the time La Danse des Faunes was created, art was increasingly pushing the boundaries toward complete abstraction. Not only that, but it was fully expected for observers to be actively engaged with the art, ultimately generating multifaceted layers of meaning. To me, one such layer of meaning seen in the piece comes directly from the reference to mythology. In a sense, Picasso is calling upon simpler times where the fate of man was wholly and unapologetically decided by the gods, to contribute a sort of social commentary to his time. In the present, however, such references are often perceived as more abstract than modern art itself. In a society which is rapidly expanding its social ideologies, with unbeknownst consequences, I find comfort in the piece's archaic references in much the same manner as the fauns would find comfort in their melodies.